And speaking of the mile, it is our first event. 2 heats of the mile to get to our 10 finalists, 8 in each heat. They'll take the top 4 from each heat and then 2 next fastest times that did not automatically qualify. And we're looking at this first heat on the inside on the rail. Morgan Beatlescombe, the senior from Michigan State.
Well, when he started the season, Dwight, he had a 4:01 personal best. And just 3 weeks ago, he dropped that down to a 3:52 to become the best runner, the top-ranked runner in the nation. He got beat at the Big Ten Championships, only running 4:09. But the mile this year has just been off the charts, and it's absolutely amazing how many guys have run under 4 flat. Took, like I said, 3:56 to even get into this meet. And then they had to go 9 deep because guys who had qualified in the mile decided to run other events. Guys have moved down to the 800 meters where they qualified. Guys have moved up to the 3K. And, you know, guys, good guys in the mile who had a chance of winning here. Yared Naguse from Notre Dame, he decides to run the 3K, but he's also gonna anchor that distance medley relay for Notre Dame. So a lot of interesting moves here in the mile as you see Beatlescombe go right to the front.
That distance medley relay is the last event tonight, the only running final of day 1. And we'll get a good sense of what's going on with pace as Beatlescombe comes through right at 58.6. So a very honest pace. Remember, the key is to try and get in that top 4 finishers in these heats, especially in the first heat, so that you know you've got a spot in tomorrow's final.
Well, Beatlescombe ran his best race of the season. He dipped under 4 minutes flat for the very first time at the Windy City Classic in Chicago when Cooper Teare and Cole Hawker were going for the U.S. record. He hitched his wagon to theirs. He stayed right behind him the whole time, made a little bit of a move, and everybody thought, is he going to beat the 2 pros? He comes up in 3rd position, and he runs 3:52. But I think he learned throughout the season that he's much better when the pace is fast. He doesn't do well when it's a tactical race, and he has to weave his way through the crowd and then sprint at the end. So I like his tactics here. This is probably his best tactic to get out front, push the pace.
He is led from the beginning. Right behind him is the diminutive Jack Urian, the senior from Oregon, who's happy to let him set the pace. 1:58.1 at 800 meters, so threw in a 60-second 400. In 3rd place, that's John Davis, the senior from Illinois, who is now challenging for 2nd. And right on his heels, covering that move, is Matthew Pamps, the Hoya from Georgetown. He is also, he is just a sophomore.
So the guys in 2nd or 3rd, this is their first time that they've been to the NCAA championships, and they're doing a really good job because you can come here and your strategy can absolutely go out the window when that gun goes off. But Urian, they're in 3rd position, doing it very smartly, letting Beatlescombe do all of the work. And then John Davies on the outside there. He was your Big Ten champ.
This is a pretty honest pace, yet they're still a bit bunched up. They've got to find room to run in order to not get their legs tangled up as Davis goes into the lead, maybe just to get in a position to wind it up for his final kick.
And that's James Young on the outside from Ole Miss with about 400 meters to go. He decides to mix it up.
2:59 at 3/4 of a mile, so still sub 4-minute pace. Now it starts to get very important about where you are positioned. And the second group, the second heat, is going to watch to see what the times are, because the time qualifiers have the advantage knowing what happened in heat number 1. As they come around to get the bell, it is Davis, followed by James Young of Ole Miss now in the mix. Beatlescombe getting kind of boxed in there and maybe suffering from setting the early pace. Urian now back to 5th is a position you don't really want to be in here.
Well, this is going to be quick. The number of guys are going to be close to their personal best just to get through to the finals.
Beatlescombe makes a very smart move and gets himself out of trouble. So it is Davis followed by Beatlescombe. And then now Isaac Baston of Drake in there. Those are 3 of your top 4. And then for Texas, Creighton Carraza gets the 4th and final automatic qualifier. Urian will have to wait to see if he can get something on time, along with James Young, who are 5th and 6th. So right now, the bubble is going to be 3:59.03.
Well, this is about 100 meters to go, still left in the race, and you see what Beatlescombe did there. He just made a little move. He was stuck on the inside, but it opened up for him. Smart running by John Davis. leading the last 800 meters. Beetle comes, looks around, and he's definitely got more there, but smart running by Carrozza as well. The Texas sophomore just was in the right position at the right time. As they drop Urian and Young, those guys, Urian and Young, now will have to look to see what they do in heat number 2.
So if you're a time qualifier, you've got to be under 3:59.03 as we look at this group of 8 in heat number 2. Focusing in lane 3, there you see the Ole Miss running rebel shirt on, or singlet on. That's Mario Garcia Romo from Salamanca, Spain, the junior at Ole Miss.
Well, he got his qualifier early in the season, one of the best milers in the country, but he's really been running a lot of 3Ks as we got close to these championships. But it'll be interesting to see what happens at the end of the night, because he has been the anchor for that distance medley relay for the run and Rebs. And if he doesn't want to have to run fast here to get through, but if he has to, are they run and Rebs? Are they gonna substitute for him tonight and maybe give them a chance to not win that title?
Ideally, he would like to qualify automatically in a tactical or slower paced race, save his legs for the distance medley relay, and it's certainly going out slower than heat number 1, which is not good news for the guys who will finish 5th and 6th in this heat, because they will not hit that qualifier again. The bubble time 3:59.03 is what you must be under for a time qualifier from this second section.
Well, and you can see there Mario Garcia Romo, he's just controlling that pace from the inside. Somebody who I look at this field and worry about just a little bit in the white top from Alabama, Iliad Kipsang. He is not a fantastic sprinter, and so for him to let it go this slow and then have to make a sprint in the last 400, I expect him to get out front here and just push the pace a little bit more.
Reed Brown from Oregon sensed that the pace was going slower than was pleasurable for him, so he bolted to the front off a 63.5 first 400. Much slower than the 59 we saw in heat number 1.
Well, Reed Brown has gone 3:54 this season. He has qualified for these championships both indoors and out, so a lot of experience up front.
And the wild card in this race is going to be Iliad Kipsang of Alabama, who can be all over the track. He can lead, he can be at the back and sprint to the front. You just never know what kind of a race plan you're going to get. And Garcia Romo is familiar with that, because they're both at they're in the SEC, and they raced each other at the championships a couple weeks ago. For Penn State, that's Evan Dorenkamp, the sophomore. 61.3 on that second lap, so still much slower as Kipsang now picks up the leading duties. Romo making certain he is staying out of trouble and in the mix.
Well, this pace is really hey, nobody back, but you take a chance of giving everybody in the heat an opportunity.
Well, it's going to go down to the guys with the better 800-meter speed, and also it's bunched up enough where they're having to go wide on the turns in order to stay out of trouble. Speaking of trouble, Garcia Romo all the way back now to 6th place, and a little bit of traffic as the urgency starts to get wound up a bit as we've got 2 laps remaining. Kipsang continuing to lead. Nick Dahl of Duke making a move on the outside, but doesn't take the lead, drops into 2nd place running on the outside of lane 1.
Well, Nick Dahl, your ACC champion, with Yared Nuguse opting out of that mile championship.
That third 400 turned in 59.8, so they definitely cranked things up thanks to Reed Brown taking over. And as we come to the bell, and it is Dorenkamp of Penn State, now passed by Dahl. Garcia Romo now getting himself back into contention. Full sprint for Nick Dahl, staying out of trouble. Garcia Romo knows he's got to put out a little energy to keep himself comfortably in the mix at the top 4. Reed Brown now back and forth with Iliad Kipsang, knowing he's got to be in that top 4 because this did not go fast enough. He's going to try and pick off Dorenkamp, and he's going to be successful. Dorenkamp out. Dahl, the winner of the heat, which went at 4 flat 99. Almost the entire first section was under that time, but they did run a 55.3 last 400.
Well, it was interesting. With 2 laps to go, Mario Garcia-Romo was clear in the back of the pack, but it opened up for him with 200 meters to go, and here we see the final sprint. But Nick Dahl did a great job. He's a 3:55 miler, so this was a relatively easy run for both he and Romo. But I'll tell you, Iliad Kipsang, he made a move in that last 100 meters. You see, he doesn't quite have the foot speed in the white jersey there, but he comes up on the outside and sneaks in for that 4th position.
Yeah, it was going to be death if you were in 5th in that slow heat. So Dahl wins it over Garcia-Romo. Then Reed Brown and Iliad Kipsang, those are the only qualifiers from this second section to tomorrow's final. The 5th and 6th placers from heat number 1, which were Urian of Oregon and Young of Ole Miss. They are in tomorrow's final.